lifestyle. If you do it, you know it. I mean, it just kind of becomes your identity and who you are. And so, yeah, I mean, like, I find that, like, you know, you feel good when things are going well in business, and then sometimes you feel down when things aren't going well. And so I think when it is a domestic partnership, it's hard because you're feeling the weight of the good and the bad with business, and then it's also affecting you because you're doing it together. You don't have someone that's like, hey, shut that off because we are feeding each other, right? I mean, we're, you know, so it's not like, hey, you don't need to feel bad about that, because he also feels bad when that contract doesn't go through. We have this farm in Bladen County that if we don't sell it, like, I'm gonna jump off a cliff, you know, but like, we feel that together because he has to hear me complain about it all the time. So yeah, I think it is. It's just, you can't really shut it off. So you just have to learn how to manage and, you know, just come back to reality every now and then.
I think for you guys in the beginning, it was being on the phones, right? Who's gonna do it?
We would battle
On the phone.
when it came to prospecting. It was, are you going to call somebody today? You know, are you going to call somebody today? So there was a lot of back and forth. But struggle-wise, I think, and you may have a different opinion on this, I think our biggest struggle was who's the boss. So there is no turning off. Clearly we know who the winner of that was, but
You're never gonna win that.
there is no turning off a realtor's brain, right? It doesn't exist. We lay in bed still, and I have to put headphones on because her brain just won't stop thinking real estate. But it was early on, who is the boss, right? And we all knew it was her, but I wasn't trying to have her be my boss. I would say, you're my wife, you're not my boss. So there has to come a moment when, as a couple, you go, okay, you are the boss in the real estate and at home and everywhere, right? You're the boss. It's not me.
I know.
Well, Billy Buffalo,
He finally admitted it, and it's on a recording.
But that's true, and I think it's important that whoever has the more passion for the business should certainly be the one that is driving the ship, and she absolutely has way more passion for the real estate business.
Yeah, because that's what I would say. He kind of came into my business, and I had already run the business for 7-8 years, so that was the hard part. It's like, now he comes in, he wants to chime in on, we should do this, and I'm like, that's a good idea, but we're not going to do that, you know. And so I had to follow my realtor gut because it wasn't his passion. Like, he came in for a potential exit strategy, but he still hated real estate. So I'm like, if you're not, whoever is spending more time investing in the business, the learning, the education, the hours, I always trumped his opinion because I did the work as far as the business. And so if he equally was as like invested in it, and I saw that, I'd be like, okay, well, what do you think? Oh, I just saw you spending 12 hours investigating it, so I'll take your opinion. But if you don't, and it's just an opinion, that's why we kind of had that agreement.
There were a couple of I told you so's along the line.
There were.
but I does feel like therapy.
But I think it's the absence of like that space, right? You're at work all day together, then you're at home all day together, and how do you get space from each other is sort of hard, because I would miss him before, and because he was gone all day, and then now it's like, okay, you're gonna leave?
I never had those thoughts. Ever.
So I think your story is pretty cool about your team, what you just built very quickly, and so I think it's a good kind of story to give people and just say, like, how did you just go from both of you to an admin to now you have this big team and an office space? So can you kind of run us through the timeline of some of that and how that all kind of came to fruition? Because I think some people may be thinking, do I hire a buyer agent? It's just us two right now. Do we hire an admin, an ISA, a buyer agent? I know Tina will be able to speak to that, but you just built this group. So I think that's kind of cool.
Well, it wasn't so much us. It was really the business. If you do the right thing by your clients, it's going to grow. And it's going to grow. And the business forced us to grow and create that team. And I remember I had spoke to Tina a while back, and I said, what's my point? I need a buyer's agent. She's like, no, you need an admin. You need to start with an admin. And we did. We hired, and we were super blessed. We hired Kristen, and she's been like our right hand. So we went from, Keller Williams had an office. We went to the dining room table. And when we hired Kristen, we went to the garage, so we had more room. and we'll never forget this poor girl. I mean, she was in there and she had those heaters on both sides of her like that. And she still reminds us about that. So,
My leg is on fire, but I can't lift the heater.
yeah, it was something. So, but and she actually helped create and spur more of that growth because she took a lot off of us. The way we're set up is I am the details, the paperwork, I'm a nightmare. I'm sloppy, I'm sales, I just want to sell and move on. Being a former nurse, that's her thing, the details and paperwork. So we worked well together. But with Kristen taking a lot off of both of us, she could be an agent again as well. I could just go out and do sales, and it just spurred more growth. So from there,
I would like to say though, if anybody that's interested in doing this, he is all sales, like he just said, and I am really all paperwork. But he was spurring me on to be a salesperson. I am not. Okay, just letting you know, I am not a salesperson. And that is one struggle we had, because he's such a salesperson. Why can't you just do this? Why can't you just do that to be a salesperson? I'm not. And we struggled with that for months. And when we finally, and he says, okay, you just do what you're good at. I'm gonna do what I'm good. We have been fine. So I'm just letting you know, you gotta find your sweet spot with that person.
and then from there, we kind of, because we had so much going on, we attracted a couple agents. They were, we knew them. They were just local people. And then it just started to grow from there. The office was the idea we had, is because at that point, we had 3 or 4 agents on the team. The growth was happening, so we just needed more space. Similar to this office, just a little bit smaller, but now we're at a point where we have Alecia and I, we have 7 agents, we have 2 transaction coordinators and ISA, and our social media, and our team leader, April.
Yay.
So yeah, I mean, it just evolves that way out of need, because if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're doing a good job at it, your name's going to get out there, it's going to grow, and the business is going to start coming. So you just need to have that help and that support.
I think that's the same thing for Anna. Like, you just recently, I mean, you feel like everything's blown up.
And I'm so thankful that I had you in my ear, because you in my ear was saying, go before you're ready, do it before you know all the answers. And it's so funny because Mitch is here. He's now on our team, and we're so pumped. He's actually Ashley's brother-in-law too. And then I had a girl reach out on social media, and she's like, "Hey, I'd like to join your team." I was like, "That sounds great. I don't have a team." But if you're coming to me and you're taking the initiative and you want to sit down and talk about it, I feel like you might be the catalyst. And Kristen was the catalyst for all of it, because she messaged me and said, I want to join your team. And I was like, well, we're doing something right, because we're attracting people without trying. And so that's when we kind of realized, and we came into our own office space this year down in Fuquay, and we have a little retail storefront. We also house a mortgage lender, insurance, a custom home builder, and interior design. So we have 3 kind of mini businesses all in our one little juncture. And it's been a lot. Like Q3 was rough. I kind of would wake up every day and be like, what have we done? Because it's just we built a monster so quickly. But I just remembered, it was go ahead. If it's going, you'll figure it out. And we are. And I think it's been great to have, Robbie is awesome to be able to also catch up with our teammates and be sure everyone has what they need. And it's just another point person. So when I'm out and I can't take a phone call, there's someone else here that can jot down a note, make sure that we get it handled. And I think that's been
talk on the phone,
yeah.
white butts,
do it all.
Many talents.
But yeah, we exploded faster than I thought. But I think you're exactly right. When you take care of clients, and you do what you're supposed to do, the business is going to come. That's what I love about this business.
And the most important thing you said though is that was our whole first year, and that's why we didn't do good in our first year. You're never going to be ready enough. You've just got to do it. We spent the first year, seminars, classes, trainings, educating ourselves, that we got no business. We were too busy to do it. So now, and I kept hearing, you're never going to be ready. Just do it. Just do it. I mean, I've gone to an extreme with that. Just do it. But it's true. You're never fully prepared, but you learn along the way.
Yeah.
How many years are you guys in?
We're going into our 4th now.
Okay. How we all?
I've been licensed since 2016, so going into 5.
27, I know.
Yeah, I know. For a long time. But I love these guys, all of these guys, like they, what I love is they're action takers. And so they want to grow the business, and they take direction well. You know, we've had so many conversations, and it'll be like, try this and try this. Oh, okay, fine, that works. We made all the mistakes. So we're 21 years, but now 8-9 years running a team. And it's like, don't just call us first. We've already made that mistake 12 times. And then on the 13th time, we figured it out. So now it's like, that's that camaraderie that I love, because we love helping them grow faster. There's no need to make all the mistakes.
Well, and you know, I walked in here and you're like, an ISA, and I was like, what are these three? Like, why do you keep saying these 3 letters and look at me like I'm expecting to know what you're talking about? Like, what is an ISA? And it's so funny because we're about to take our domestic team a little further, because Robbie's sister, actually, who has a fundraising background, is about to step into our ISA role and start all of our calls for us.
What does an ISA mean?
An inside sales agent. But I mean, we just kept talking like an ISA, like the whole time. I was like, I can't get my phone out to Google this, but I feel like I'm supposed to know what she's saying, and I have no
That's why I always
idea.
have to tell her, I say, can you just dumb it down for the regular people in the room?
But
Right,
you
say
know,
the
again,
words.
that's something that I wouldn't even know that existed. I just, you know,
Yeah.
I thought we were all struggling in the background, you know, calling and pulling leads the old-fashioned way, and I didn't realize you had someone dedicated to that
Well,
role.
and if you think about it, like they're all of us, right, that do really good business. It's how do we take our great business structure, our service, our commitments, our goals, and how do we just duplicate ourselves faster into the lives of the other agents working for us? So it's like all these people working for you are just an extension of you. And so if you just package it right, and if you decide to grow a team, you have decided to open up a business. You decided to open up a mini brokerage. And people don't see it that way. They go, I'm going to start a team. Why? I need help. I need leverage. You're going to fail, because just bringing on people because you need leverage and without a plan, it's hard, because if you're in a role where you're selling 50 homes a year, how do you have enough time to help these people, to grow these people, to be, you know, a part of their lives every single day, because they need daily counsel and, you know, leadership. It is hard. So it's like you have to place the infrastructure in place and say, okay, if I'm going to open up a team, and that's how we did it, 100 deals a year I hired a Pam. I hired a Pam. She was an operations person and a trainer.
Yeah.
Pam.
No,
Pam. It's another acronym. Yeah, Pam.
don't Google Pam.
Yeah, don't Google Pam. So I hired Pam, but she was my operational person that could come and lead the other 8 or 9 agents. And so I had 2 simultaneous businesses, my business and then the brokerage, really. The team is the brokerage. And so that way I could take some of the money that I was making and invest it into Pam to eventually buy back my time and then start growing the agents on my team. So how many agents replace my business? I need 10. I need 10 agents to do 10 deals a year to replace my business. And then all of a sudden I can remove myself from that role forward facing with the buyers and the sellers and work on being the investor of my business. And so if you have enough agents, all of a sudden now you have a thriving business, but they need to be coached and trained and held accountable. They need marketing, they need admin. So now you're hiring a lot of salaries, but that's okay because it's a brokerage, right? And as long as you have enough agents and they are happy and they're working and they're not leaving, the business can thrive.
And the big thing is take that direction, because a common conversation in our house, I'll be like, hey, we need to do this. She'll be like, what? Why would we need to do that? I don't know, Tina told me to do it.
That's funny, because I was actually gonna say that, because I won't hear conversations he'll have with Tina sometimes. I'm like, why are we doing that? Tina said do it, we're doing it. And it works.
And it's, you take direction from people that were successful before you. And like she said, learn from other people's mistakes, what works, what doesn't work. Find those people in your life, and you can't go wrong because they've got the plan already.
So what would you say, Tina, if you're a team, what would be your next 3 hires in what order?
Just starting a team or us in
you got your
particular?
domestic partnership, or let's say you've been
Oh.
working together for 2-3 years and you're like, you know what? We want to grow. I think we might want to add an agent. We have so much business. We both can't handle it. We've got stuff going on at home. What would be your next 3 hires or 2-3 hires, and what order?
So I go off what most people teach. So my thing is, looking back on my business, if I would have done it this way, it would have been better. So if you take my experience, let's say I'm selling 50, 60 homes a year, I'm exhausted. The problem is if I look at my business today, if you look at your business today, do you think there's leads that go unanswered?
Absolutely.
Do you think there's leads that you haven't called 10 times, texted
Absolutely.
twice? Okay, so those leads are hundreds of thousands of dollars. And what we do as agents is we get so busy servicing the small pool of buyers and sellers that we can handle that all those leads go unanswered. So the first growth partner is the ISA, the Inside Sales Associate. Every corporation in America has, if they're in sales, they have a department that has the lead intake department. And then the lead intake department takes those leads and they go give the appointments to the salespeople. So she's a salesperson, and if somebody was sitting there 7 hours a day managing her database and making sure that the leads were converted properly, she would have so many appointments that she'd need roller skates to get to them all. And that's when then she says, oh, I need more agents to give these appointments to. So now she's got the growth partner 7 hours a day. The growth partner is $2,000 a month for an ISA, 5% override on anything they close, right? So she's paying somebody $24,000 a year to basically bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars of business, which is great. So that's the next hire. Then, so ISA first. Before the ISA, you may have had a transaction coordinator. You can hire a transaction coordinator for $350, $400 a transaction, up to 50 deals. That's like $19,000. So you really don't need an admin that's a $40,000, $50,000 salary, because you can get that service for less as you're growing and scaling. So I would go me, TC, transaction coordinator at a flat fee.
Outsourcing.
Outsourced.
The transaction coordinator.
ISA would be my first hire that's a salaried position plus commission. Then, based on the ISA success, buyer agent, second ISA, buyer agent, team leader somewhere in there, like a person that's going to help these agents as you're transitioning out of the business, right? So they're managing the agents, they're helping them, they're grooming them, they're growing them. And then as the deals start to increase, you go, okay, now I don't need my income. I can start pulling away and going into a leadership role. So my job now on the team is, the visionary, the growth leader. I look at everything that we need and I decide where I'm going to invest. I'm an investor in the business, my money. So yes, I could have stayed in that role making $800,000 a year doing all the work, or I can make $800,000 a year with more overhead and salaries, but I don't do the day-to-day sales. Because if I got hit by a bus today, they would all still be here without me. They don't need me. And that's the proudest thing I could ever say, because I used to say to him all the time, if I get hit by a bus, we have no business. If I get cancer and die, we have no business. The business died with me. And that didn't feel good as an entrepreneur, because we all want to own a business and we want to be business owners. So the team building thing for me was not just, I'm going to hire agents because I'm just lazy and don't want to work. It was, no, I'm going to hire agents. I'm going to help them build careers through us. And then eventually I can step out and be in a leadership role, because I'm tired after 19 years selling homes. And I wasn't finding the glory in it anymore. I wasn't happy there. And I'm more happier now on this side of it.
And for the record, that is not how we built our, from the beginning.
No, that's how we
made
would
the
do it
mistakes.
today.
Yeah, we made the mistakes along the way.
We followed the red book. Don't follow the red book.
So when you wanted to hit her by the bus, get her hit by the bus.
Never.
Insurance policy wasn't big enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did somewhere along that track, is there a listing agent in that equation or no?
I was
Like,
the listing agent.
Just you did.
And most of us are the list, like
Yeah.
Shawn's the listing, he's the top producer usually, is the listing buyer agent.
Right.
Eventually you give off your buyer deals first. So I gave away all my buyer deals, which is hard. It's $500,000 in commissions and you're just handing it to an agent. Hey, take my buyer out, take my buyer out. But that's okay, because that freed me up to go take more listings and do more. So we have to think of ourselves as buying back our time and all the money we're making in the business. Nobody ever goes, okay, now how do I buy back my time to spend more money thinking about how I grow my business?
Yeah, at what point would you say you would hire that ops person or the Pam or the Mackenzie?
When you
like,
start
how
to
many
have 3, 4 agents, like a couple agents you can probably handle. When you start going, I have 8, 9, 10. So your lovely wife is probably in that role right now where she's managing the agents, right? Or do you have, oh no, you were
April,
doing it.
yeah.
Oh, there you go. So he does listen. They do listen. I forgot. I forgot you're here. Yes, thank you. So see what I mean? So then now he's got his business, right? Their business. And now the buyer agent, but it's not even buyer agent, it's a brokerage. So you're running the brokerage for them Well, he can still go sell 100 homes. He doesn't have that
Because we
worry.
talked about that, and you were like, I just am so overwhelmed. I'm doing, because you're running two businesses.
Right.
You're
It's
trying
two
to do your
businesses.
real estate business here, and then you're trying to train the agents, coach the agents, be there for them, answer their questions.
Hold them accountable.
Yeah, bring in new agents. Like, that was really hard for you, right?
Yeah, it's very easy to get burnt out and you
Yeah.
start not to enjoy what you're doing anymore. And that, I don't want that joy to go away. I want that to be there. I want to build. But there's only so much time, you know, you can either work on your business or in your business. And I want to work on my business more. And, you know, I still want to work in my business. I still love it. Sales is just in me. I still want to do that. But like Tina said, eventually you have to start transitioning it to that growth point, because yes, I'm the salesperson. So if I'm ever gone, you know, she's not in sales, it'll still keep rolling on.
Right. And I think that's what you said. For years, you were doing both, and you're like, I was being a part-time leader.
I was a
couldn't
part-time
be.
leader failing my people. Yeah. So because I was busy, it's like I didn't have time to sit and teach them all the things and, you know, and sit and mentor them and have great meetings. I didn't have time to put a meeting plan together. Like, we wouldn't meet. We'd be like, high five, you sold a home. Awesome. You know, get out there. Here's a lead. It was just it was like you're juggling all these balls and you're just hoping not to, you know, one drops, but it wasn't good, because like right now, if I said to any team, hey, go open up a coffee shop and go run your real estate business, no one's going to want to do those two businesses. They go, I don't have time for that. Well, how do you think you have time to open up a brokerage with agents? You don't have time. And so you have to strategically, again, doing it again, I would have done it a different way. I would have invested more time in leaders and seats on the bus to run and manage that second business, and then, you know, slowly move into leadership role for that business and wean my way off of my deals.
Does anybody have any questions, like, from anything you've heard so far? No? Well, that's like basically the biggest questions that I had. You know, what's your biggest struggle? What do you think has like strengthened between you two since working together?
You go for that one.
Like, I don't know about that one.
I don't know about that one. I don't know. We spend every waking hour together unless he's doing something I'm not. I mean, it's all the time. So I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah, I think what's strengthened in us is our values, because being what we've done and where we started from the beginning and the busyness of it and the need for this growth, the need to take back some of our lives, we more value when we have our time together, our children, family, friendships, because we started to see that dwindle away. And now we're just like, God, we don't want to lose that to the business, you know, because that's important too. So I think what's strengthening us is the importance and the value of family and relationships and why we're doing this. It is why we're doing it.
That's good. What about you?
I appreciate who Robbie is, and I appreciate that we have differences. And I've learned that this year. You may not think that I've learned that this year, but I've learned that this year because I used to be like, whoa, why doesn't Robbie want to like sit up all night and like come up with business plans and like come out with all these like ideas and like, oh, like, why doesn't his brain? And like,
We're tired from your other plans.
exactly. and what I realized is that like if Robbie had the same like mental drive that I did, like we would probably not have children or not ever see them, and like we would hate each other because it would be a constant noise. And so I really have this year, like I've learned to really appreciate our differences and know that like there are strengths in the way that you do things and the way that I do things. And it took opening 3 businesses to figure it out, but I figured it out. So
I think we have that conversation all the time of there's one typically really strong-willed person who wants to work nonstop, and then there's another one that's just more chill and support. And it's like sometimes the strong-willed, who is me, gets upset that the other one's not like doing this and motivated and going here. But then you're like, okay, but he's taking care of our son and he's, you know, doing all the things. I can leave at 6 o'clock at night and go show a house and he's there. And it's the same thing with you guys. It's like, if you didn't have Robbie, you have 3 kids under 4.
I would have sold 12 homes last year. If I didn't have Robbie, I would have sold 12
Anna's
homes.
coming into
Poorly.
this year. She sold, I think, 15 million last year. She's coming into this year with 8 million already on the books.
Yeah.
She's like, what is happening? So I think, you know, when the wheels are coming off,
And
it's like
the one thing, and we could probably share this, is And I think coming from the car business, you might have a little more compassion than I did, but I came from a very competitive sales world to where in sports through college, you step on the head of your competition, you kill them, you go annihilate them, and you walk away as champion, right? You go try to conquer. And the real estate business taught me, goes, no, you've got to build and cultivate these relationships. So I think it's made me a whole lot softer, rounded the edges a little bit, because I have seen the cultivating all these leads, doing all the pop buys, massaging your relationships, and building that business to where I was more of a go hit it and quit it guy. Before and work.
Good
Well,
to know.
I was selling containers. I'd go sell containers of product and be like, that's it, and you walk away a whole lot. You just kind of wipe your hands from it and move forward. To where
And then
in
you
this
see
business,
other agents doing like what you just said, and you never want to work with them again because they're only thinking about themselves. It's like we're all on the same side here. Yes, we have our buyers and we have our sellers, but we're all on the same side selling real estate. On the other side of that transaction where you get that, oh, sorry, it went sight unseen, your client's not getting it, and they were so excited about it. So it's like we really need to, be mindful of the relationships we build and that we're constantly being on the other agent's side. Like, how are we, setting that precedent for other people?
and I've learned from Anna the stuff that she'll do for her clients that, to me, a year ago, if you would have told me this is what Anna's doing, like, get off the phone, you're wasting your time, you're taking time away from your family. What are you doing? But now seeing how that is building those relationships, that is building the business, and that's the one thing. It working together has made me help me understand the whole process. So it's made me a whole lot more patient with Anna. So I mean that's the biggest thing that.
So basically, I need
and
to
I
get my
still, she still
husband
drives me
working with
crazy.
me.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because more patient.
And that's it. It's like, because I'm sure. Until your partner gets involved in the business and sees how it's hard. It is hard, because I went from a 9 to 5. And then that was it, right? It's like, don't call me at 6 o'clock, and then it's a whole different, animal, doing this. And when I stepped in and understanding that, the patience level is being more appreciative for Anna, it's been real neat.
High five, man.
Meeting for their.
Yeah, thanks for
Now I'm
coming to our
leaving for a week,
therapy session.
Like live therapy, it's good.
Yeah.
Well, I have notes, and then you can, I'll do my notes.
Big surprise.
Well, just so I don't forget, but here's my thing. It was couples that lack a strong foundation may struggle, because it's a lot, right, of work together. Understanding strengths and weaknesses. So I'm a nerd about DISC and Enneagram. If you all have not done your Enneagram and your DISC, like, that is amazing to see what makes them tick and what makes you tick. So when you understand each other's world, you can put yourself, I try to put myself in his shoes a lot. Like, oh yeah, I probably do, sit on the phone too much and I need to pay more attention or whatever. So I would say champion each other through ups and downs, prioritize your relationship, leave work, like leave it at home or at your office as much as possible. Find another activity together. We golf. So I love that we do another activity together that's not work related. Still date each other, go have your romantic time, right? Because you could just be so stressed from work, and then it's like that relationship, we always made sure that we had that time. And then I would say planning vacations is easier. That's a pro, right? You don't have to worry about, like, I love that. I'm like, I have to worry about when you can take off. I used to get so mad at the dealership. I'm like, you like give your life to them. Like, we need another week vacation. Well, I can't. Okay, this is nice. We can leave whenever we want. So we do that. And then what else? I think that's it. Yeah. And jealousy and resentments. I think, to be honest, there was a point where, and that's when we started to build a team, I started to get resentful. So I was like, here I am out and, and you're at home, and, like I'd come home and they'd have pizza, and I was like, no dinner on the table. I felt like I was like one of these old fashioned men, like, wife, where's my dinner? So
Kevin,
so
Now, the flip side to that is, I would say, well, slow down. Just stop.
Why are
right?
you working so hard? We don't need the
that's-
money.
But that's not how she's wired
Right.
either. Once you realize how your partner is wired, it makes it a lot easier
Makes
to deal with
sense.
each other. Once you
Yeah.
both realize how each other are wired. And so when I tell you that real estate is her passion, that it's her passion. There's no pulling somebody away from their passion. I don't care what it is. You're not, right? You're just not.
I love it.
It's what drives her. So once you realize and get your head around that, then go find your own passion, right? Find your passion, let them do their passion, and then everybody's happy. And just respect the fact that There is no turning it off. So when she's on the computer until midnight every single night, it's not that she doesn't love me laying next to her. It's that she's doing her passionate stuff that she doesn't get to do during the day because she's dealing with people all day. And so I do the same thing. I'll throw my headphones on and I'll learn about something that I'm passionate about. That's kind of what works. And we cheer each other on through that, right? Got to a point where she has so many ideas and so many that I finally went, Tina, look, I trust every business decision you're going to make. Just make them. You don't even have to run them by me anymore. I mean, that's what it ends up. That's what it ends up being if you respect what drives your partner. So that has become a strength. It's taken time it took time to get there. I mean, we've been there for a long time now.
Learning process of each other, because I would say, why don't you come out and sell more homes with me? Like, we could sell double the amount and you're so good and you get, I don't want to sell homes. I don't like people, like,
I love people, but I do not like selling.
I mean, he likes people, but he's like, I don't like the long-term I don't want to build relationships with people, and I love people and I love relationships. So it's understanding that, because I go, yeah, but it's for our family. It's for our family. Like, we could do double. So there was little resentments, like, like, why doesn't he want to come do that? And why do I have to work so hard? And so the resentments start to build up, but then he would go, well, we don't need to make $900,000 a year. We could make 4 and be happy. I'm like, I'm not going backwards. Like, that's a loser thing. But, like, it's just, in my mind, I'm like, no, you always advance. Like, what? No, so I think it's just that internal drive. He understands it now. I think most of the time, like, now I appreciate that he can slow down. I watch him, like, just doing nothing, and I'm like, I wish I could do that. I can't,
I do things. I'm not just doing nothing.
Tell me about this nothing thing.
You're not there. You've got about 10
your
years.
team.
No, but I mean, our son's 17, like, he can just relax on the couch, and I'm like, how can you be so relaxed? Like, it's wonderful to see that, but that's his personality. That's not mine. Like, I find, like, okay, if I'm sitting on the couch, I go, I could be doing the laundry, or I could do something else, or I could be productive right now. That's just how I'm wired.
Exactly what year does it take to be impressed by that?
It takes. Yeah.
Do your Enneagram.
Yeah.
It is, for me, most people that know me know I'm like, I'm always like spiritually digging, right? I'm meditate and do all these things. I think it is very important that you know who you are also, right? And so when things do come up, I did a lot of self-work to know that if we were sitting in bed and she's on the computer, I can kind of psychoanalyze myself and say, why am I annoyed by this? Is this right? Is it an ego thing? Or why am I annoyed that I have to pick up my son today and she's working? Is that my ego talk, right? And so when you can psychoanalyze yourself a little bit, I think that helps as well. So I think everybody needs to do kind of a deep dive into who they are and what makes you tick, and you'll be able to kind of figure out the issues along the way.
Yeah, because think about that real quick. Like, you're at home going, why is she sitting there working so hard? I'm annoyed she's taking till 7, and I'm driving home going, why am I working so hard? Why doesn't he go out and do these appointments till 7? So it's like, you're always focused on yourself, not your partner. And so now, like, I always say this, I laugh, I always bring Ashley. I'm like, if Kevin was married to somebody like Ashley, like, at her house, things are, she doesn't have to be as organized. My house has to be like a model home, right? But these two are more similar, right? They can leave things out. But I'm like, if he was married to somebody like her, let's say, they would never have an issue about how his nightstand looked or how his bedroom looked. Like, we cohabitate. So I'm pushing my issues onto him to make him adapt to my world, how I want it to look. That's not fair, right? So if he was married to somebody else, he'd never have that problem or that bickering. So you have to think about that. And then I go, I'm just going to let it go. And now I don't care. I'm like, you want a messy side of the bed? Fine.
Is it that messy though?
It's not, but I'm just saying.
What are your Enneagram numbers?
I'm a 3-2. He's a
9-1.
9-1.
My head's in the clouds, basically, is what that says. My head is constantly in the clouds. Yeah.
And what's he?
He hasn't done it yet.
Oh, he's probably a 3.
He's doing it right now.
A 6? Yeah, so.
Well, I don't want to wrap this early. There's more questions, but what I did want to say, this is kind of my brainchild, and it's really funny that y'all are here because it came to me. Philip and I were showing a house on the exact same day, and it was listed by a gal who worked with her daughter, and it's like I had just in the same day I had run into multiple domestic partners, and then we had a couple that worked alongside of last year that was great, and they had some daycare issues so couldn't be here, and so I kind of was like, man, this exists a lot more than I think we realize, whether it's mother-daughter, like I said, we've got my sister-in-law coming into this partnership, husband-wife. So my goal was to kind of create some kind of camaraderie group, so that we could just as things shake out or as you kind of celebrate milestones or things come up, that we just kind of stay in contact. I don't think we need to, I don't want it to be something that we're tied to meetings regularly, but if doing a disc analysis would be helpful, I would be thrilled to coordinate to have someone come and do that with everyone. So I think just staying in contact and just kind of cohesively.
And in this room too, we have you and Mary Ann.
Yeah.
How did you start your partnership?
Yeah,
Because you're
so,
not
so
tied family.
We're not,
Mhm.
we wish we were married.
Yeah.
Because it actually is financially better.
Yeah.
We have gone down that path and just didn't work out.
Yeah.
But, Mary Ann, who couldn't make it, she had a 9:30 builder appointment. But I was her realtor a very, very long time ago. And then had been in real estate. I had been in real estate for probably 5 or 6 years before she got her license. And then we've been business partners for 12 years.
Mhm.
And so completely different than I think all of you. We came into it for balance.
Mhm.
We were both moms running crazy, just, and we came together that could we do this together? And it's actually funny because we looked back at our first business plan and it's laughable now because it really read, I'll work Monday nights, you'll work Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
It
Sounds like real estate.
What was gonna work. So we do divide and conquer a lot. We tend to go on listing appointments together. Our buyers tend to be separate, but we keep each other, updated because if one of us is out of town or needs something. And we both have different, Mary Ann is definitely more like a Tina, like the researcher and loves all of that. I'm a doer. And so, so we do tend to split our activities, what we bring to the table. People ask us all the time, what has kept us together, and just like a marriage, because it is, it's respect for each other. We know if she's doing the job, she is doing it just as good, if not better than I am, and she has the same confidence in me. And, but we don't always, we will disagree, and we bring different, opinions to the table and share that, but we always hold just the highest, most respect for one another. So we've been very fortunate, because 12 years is a long time,
Yeah.
and it's a marriage, and I will actually be making sure she watches this, and so does her husband. Because I think, it is, that people don't know what we do, and it was good to hear, Robbie, you say it, that you didn't understand Anna's role and why she gave so much to her clients and the time and the 11 o'clock calls, and that's frustrating as a partner until you're in it.
Yep.
And then you see, we are completely, our business is relationship. It is. We're not transactional. We tend to, even if you look at our clients over the years, they're the same clients year after year.
Yeah, we're
after year.
85% referral based.
Yeah, and that's, ours is really probably 99%. And so we spend our money on our sphere. We look at that. I think we're in one magazine and that's it. And that's our marketing dollars go to our sphere. We invest in them all the time. Mary Ann and I are different. We do 25 million a year. We don't really care to do more. We aren't in this to grow that enormous team. We have an admin. That took finding the right person, and we finally have, and adore her. And but we're now, when we came over to EXP 2 years ago, we thought we were wanting to grow a team. That's why we left Fawnville. And then we got here and went, we really don't have to. We can grow an organization and still just be us with an admin, and we have, but we don't have to do that. So for us, it's a different dynamic. we like doing 25 million, 20 to 25 million is fine for us. And that's, what we're comfortable in. So.
It's basically a marriage, except you
is.
just don't go to bed together.
Yeah, and sometimes,
I mean, really.
yeah, we're on the phone all the time, we're, always with each other, so, it is.
Yeah.
And talking about strength and weaknesses, when you say you go to listing appointments together.
Yes, we do.
We have to. We have to, because I've gone to listing appointments by myself. I'll come back, we got the listing, great, do the paperwork. Tell me about this. I don't know, we got the listing. Details.
While he's over there flapping
Doesn't
his
matter.
gums and
Made the
doing
sale.
I'm over there looking at everything in the house and making all these notes, so we come out with one whole full
And
listing.
just so you know, with that, like, we take a lead on our listing, so we both go to listing appointments, but whoever that sort of came through is that lead. Because your clients need that, like, otherwise they're like, which blonde do I call?
Yeah.
And so, if it's her lead, she's doing more of the talking and I'm taking all the notes on the house but our listing appointments just flow very well when we're together. And, which takes time. I mean, that definitely, I do remember our first one and I kept going, and I was like, we,
Right.
We.
and so that, takes time to learn that. And, but it can work. And, so I know.
I just want to say, I gotta run to an appointment in 15 minutes. I wish I could stay and chat with everyone, but thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
So
You're
proud of you
calling
guys.
someone right now.
I am.
Yeah. I had a number.
Oh, I did. Look, I am. I'll see ya.
Bye.
I have a slightly off topic question, but I'm curious if anybody in here, if they have a combination of commercial with residential in there. Just because I'm kind of exploring, I'm newer to this, my wife's been doing it for
All the
20 years.
therapists made it.
Guys,
You missed the session, but.
I don't know, I mean, Anna and I have both been talking about that we really, she does a lot of commercial referrals, and we were just saying that we feel like we really need some good couple people.
Yeah, see, that's the one thing, I think I called Ashley on the other day too, it's like, we kick all of our commercial stuff out. And
So Robbie's gonna be the new
and me being the bitter competitor, we kick him back to Century 21, and that eats my ass. I cannot stand the fact that we're giving leads back to where we came from. So
We got a person for you. April and Brian Stevens would be a great person to speak
Oh,
with.
okay.
They're they're a married couple. He does commercial, she does strictly residential.
Yeah.
April and Brian Stevens, yep.
Is that a partner now?
Yeah.
They just opened their new office, yeah.
They do a great
Steven
business
with a
though.
V or-
PH. Yep.
So how do you guys?
And they'll be happy
I'm a
she'd
team
be
too,
happy
my
to talk to
my
you.
better
Yeah,
half
I'm gonna
now.
tell them.
How do you guys, when you guys first did your hiring for did you guys do an admin or transaction coordinator first or an ISA?
We did, Kristen was both. She was serving in both roles.
Okay, that's what
She was transaction coordinator, but she was doing admin duties for us as well. And then it just got to be a little bit too much as far as that. We had to split that up. So that was our first, she was our first, and then our second from there.
How do you guys decide hey, this is a good fit for us or it's not? Because you have to have that interview process, right?
Yeah, you do. And, I was just talking about that with Phil before we started. And, we've gone through some tough ones because some people will interview and shine like the sun and then come back out and fizzle. But, Kristen, we, like I said, we were blessed. We got lucky right off the bat with her, and she's been wonderful. But, we are Mayers Realty, and that's our name. So whoever's on our team is representing us in our name. And we try to be very careful about who we hire because we want to grow that culture. And our businesses succeeded on exceeding client expectations. And if you can't, be that, and we find it kind of tough, a lot of the folks that we get, especially, and nothing against it, but the younger generation, the work ethic, it's kind of scary making these hires. It really is. And
Yeah, they're like, I fill out a contract and get a bonus.
Yeah, so, what we do is, and
I know in the interview, we do too. Like me and Kristen will interview people because honestly, we feel like we're a better judge of character.
yeah, I'm just like,
I mean, there's just some things I think we're better
what
at.
skill sets are you looking at? I get the feeling if you want someone to represent your brand, just what are the specific skill sets you're looking for?
I think
Soft
that,
skills, hard skills.
well, I think that whatever position it might be, there's things that are teachable and there's things that aren't. So what I'm looking at is how, your personality when you're interviewed, how you speak, how you're going to speak to people. I'm looking at those things that you can't teach. You can't change a person who they are, but I can teach the skills. None of the people that we have hired had anything to do with real estate. They didn't have any skills in it. Even Julia, RISA, she was a receptionist at Greenville Appliance, but she knew how to speak to people. She knew how to talk to people. She had no skills whatsoever, but she's done wonderful because, she has been able to talk to people. She's not afraid to talk to people. So that was the only skill I really wanted there. I could teach the rest.
Yeah, you have to like to be on the phone.
Yeah.
You have to.
And then Kristen, she liked to, she liked the details. She was a lot like Alecia. So that was all we needed. She knew nothing about real estate, but within 2 months, she didn't even ask questions anymore. She was off on her own. And she follows that Trello board. She follows the steps. And even me, she'll be like, you left $395 fee out of the CD. You want to get that fixed? Things like that. She's just wonderful detail person. It was something I can't teach. Everything else we taught her.
How do you guys?
Yeah, so I hired an admin first, which again, we actually are business partners in that retail business as well, though. So it's kind of like a hybrid. So she time blocks during the day. And she serves getting everything into our back end, and she's a detailed person, and she knew she's licensed. She did not want to sell anymore. She liked the back end of it, and she did not want anything to do with the front end. It works out well. Our sphere overlaps a lot, so it's really cool because now those referrals are pulling straight in, and they're even reinforced, I would say, because instead of them maybe going out to a second source, now they've got both of us there. So it's like, well, I can't go use someone random from the internet because now I'm going to defy both of them, right? Because they're together. And so it works really well. And she came from Keller and ran an office in New Bern. So she's got a lot of background with also developing teams and all that kind of stuff. And so it's been a cool piece for us, but I'd say it's a hybrid because we're also business owners in a store together. Yeah. So our partnership is not so much like employee-employer. We're more partners, and then she also is taking over the stuff that I'm really bad at and that I know Robbie would also be very bad at. So she's a lifesaver. She's kind of the third piece to our success for sure.
Are you guys, your pipeline is, you're mostly referral, you said 80% referral, please?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's honestly probably a little bit more than that. We've started delving into a little bit more cold business just because we have some team members that we're trying to stimulate faster business for, and it's hard to pass off. But I'm a Buffini certified mentor. Like that's my bread and butter is sphere of influence, and we devote almost all of our budget yearly to nurturing and massaging that sphere because it's just for us it's a more enjoyable way to do business.
But the ISI is my sister. She's a political fundraiser, so she's good on the phone. She's not afraid to get punched in the face, but by someone. She's just got to see if she'll do it. That's making calls.
Yeah, but she can call and ask.
And that's the one thing we haven't
done.
And that's the one thing I look at. It's like we nourish that sphere of influence, and I keep on thinking we've got to get out and grab a little bit more. So hopefully.
How about y'all? Are you guys in leads?
We are. So we started out, with me calling it, FSBOs, expired, things like that. Started to put in a little bit of a Zillow budget at that point. But we are finally taking that shift towards repeat business, referrals, and sphere, where we still maintain the Zillow and the Realtor.com for the new agents to kind of jumpstart them and get them going, feed them a little bit. But it's a shift for us. We started out all on leads and, like I said, my phone calls with those FSBOs and expireds, but eventually that's moved, and we've seen a big move this year. I mean, we were always a buyer heavy, team. Mm-hmm. And, I was always so scared to give all those buyers away. And now we don't really do buyers anymore. We passed all that off, and our listings have grown, quite a bit. And just from, like I said, word of mouth, sphere, and then those original buyers we've had 2-3 years later, they've become our sellers, and just it rolls on. Mm-hmm. But it was a progression to get to that for us.
We hire anybody that walks in the door.
Do not.
I would say be slow to hire and quick to fire.
Yeah.
People, you will get people's best performance in their first 90 days. And if they suck in the first 90 days, you can just get rid of them.
Yeah,
Because
it's like
that's,
dating,
that's
right?
their very best. However, the roles need to be very well defined though. Whatever job you're hiring for, if the role is not very well defined, you have nothing to judge them on and nothing to hold them accountable to, you're gonna run into issues. And if I'm hiring an ISA, I'm certainly having them leave me a voicemail first and sending an email before I even talk to them. Because I wanna make sure that they can talk, and then I wanna make sure, and same with admin, that email, if they're there and there are spelled wrong, if where, whatever right? It better be grammatically correct, or we're not talking.
Yeah.
Because you're the face of our company. Yeah.
I like that. Make them leave a voicemail and email?
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Call this number, leave a message. And if I can't understand your message and you're trying to be an ISA, you're in the wrong, yeah.
I'm not sending you
Real deal though.
Thanks, everyone. I mean,
Yeah.
there's food in there if you want to grab something or just hang out and chat. But I appreciate everybody coming in.
Thank you all
Yeah,
for
let's just
having
be
me.
friends forever and ever.
Forever?
Do this
I don't
weekly.
know.
This is really good. It's like,
The couch is calling.
I'm going to your house, man.
Come on, it's nap time. What time is it?
It's 10:30?
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Oh, yeah, I thought you looked at the parking.